Welcome, everybody, to this regular city council meeting for Monday, August 4th, 2025. Marie, would you please call the roll?
Fritz,
Here.
Lowe,
Here.
McLaughlin.
Here.
Manetza.
Here. Will you please rise and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we have no appointments, reappointments this evening, so it brings us to the approval of the consent and regular agendas. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
In support?
Motion by Lowe, second by Fritz. Any changes or anything to be changed on the agenda? No? Okay, please call the roll then.
Lowe,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Manetza.
Yes. So that brings us to our first call to the audience. At this time, members of the audience may address council on any item, whether on the agenda or not. Those addressing council are asked to provide their name and address and will be limited to 3 minutes of speaking time. Council will hear all comments for future consideration, but will not have a response at this time. Those not physically present who would like to call in may dial 616-935-3203. I would like to point out that we do have one public hearing tonight regarding the right-of-way vacation behind, basically behind where Jumpin' Java is. And so if you have comments on that, you can save those for the public hearing. But otherwise, there will be no other opportunities to address council before I do our new business. So if anybody would like to address council now would be a good time.
Good evening. My name's Patricia Epler, and my address is 150 Clinton, Grand Haven, Michigan, 49417. I am the Esquire, a officer at the Elks Lodge 1200, and we are on the agenda tonight for our first ever proposed Pulaski Days. We have saved an open license from Coast Guard, and we hope to make this our first annual and make this a signature event for the Grand Haven community. We hope that this ends up being like Rib Fest is to the VFW. The VFW and the Coast Guard Committee have been very supportive. They have loaned us their tents, their fencing, their advice, and they are fully on board. We hope to get Grand Haven service clubs coming out here to support our first annual event. For our first annual event, as you can see from the map that we provided, and I would like to thank Brian for all of his time. I met with him a couple of times with the measurements and going over the rules, and he was very helpful. As you can see from the map, right now we are only looking to close down the immediate area in front of the Elks Lodge. We hope after this year that we'll close down the whole block between 2nd and 3rd Street because it gets so big and fabulous. But we're hoping to minimize this year any stress to the community by keeping the alley behind the Elks open. The neighbors across the street, we will block one exit, but they have alternate exits out onto Washington. So we're hoping to keep any collateral damage, if you will, limited. But we are very excited. We've made all kinds of homemade Polish foods. We're going to have bands. It's going to be a fabulous event. And we would like to thank the council for their time. We'd like to thank Brian for their time. And we hope that the council, we would love to personally invite you all to the first Pulaski Days for the Elks 1200 Lodge. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Who else would like to address council?
Good evening, Jim Hagan, 400 Lake. I'd like to do a little bit of a follow-up on
not presentation, but the discussion from the last council meeting on community solar. And I wanted to give you an update on what happened. I was really pleased that Zach Wheaton, the Fox 17 reporter, stopped by the house, and he said, hey, I'm doing a discussion with Derek on Harbor Island update, the status and so forth. How would you like to do one on solar? And so I accepted it, and we talked quite a while, and got maybe a 10-second clip on it about the fact that the federal incentives in the IRA were running out. Now it's to less than 11 months. So as part of his reporting, he put together a web article, and it showed the rendering that HDR had put together for one of the scenarios, and it made it into that web article. And that was the rendering that showed solar panels on both sides of the substation. So when I looked at it, I thought to myself, boy, those things are crowded. I really want to model it and see what can actually fit in. Well, they were crowded, but there were only 500 of them. In reality, 1,786 could fit in there. And that amount of power is equivalent to 1 gigawatt hour per annum, which is a quarter of what the entire island could do, which is equivalent to 150 houses. So I think it's really time that the council and the administration maybe start working some stuff in parallel and get some engineering to look at it. I distributed Helioscope, which is, a professional design program, a little bit of that to council and various other people. Also, financials developed using ChatGPT, and they're pretty legit. They used midpoints. I mean, you can say, well, it should have been the high end of this or that, but it lists everything. So somebody can go over it who does that kind of work and look at the payback and so forth on that project. And it was actually 3.57 years. So if you say, well, that's 50% low, okay, take it up to 6 years. Still fantastic. So anyway, I would like to see some action by the city on it and get some engineering staff, get Ab and March. I think can go over the numbers as well as anybody else. And let's start working some stuff in parallel. We've only got 11 months. The federal government would pay 50% of the project. The other 50% is paid for by subscribers who, buy the panels or subscribe to the panels. So it's time to act. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Who else would like to address council?
Hello, I'm Chris from JW's Food and Spirits and JW's Market Wine Shop in Centertown. On behalf of several business owners in Centertown, thank you. Thank you for all the time you've spent working on how to help us grow Centertown. We are excited for these changes, starting with the Centertown overlay being able to offer short-term rentals, as well as the possibility to rezone our neighborhood. We are excited to work through the vision plan, update, and have this change be a catalyst to new opportunities and future conversations with all of the Centertown stakeholders. Again, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Who's next?
Yes. John Steinbeck, 18 North 7th Street. Again, I'll agree with Chris. Appreciate all the time you guys have spent on this, trying to get us the same as downtown, or close as you can, in the studies and stuff, so thank you.
Thank you, John. Who else would like to address the council?
Peter Wilson, the 322 North 2nd Street. I'd like to talk about the new business item B that was just brought up, allowing short-term rentals in the Centertown overlay. I think you guys all know my opinion. I gave it to you forcefully a couple weeks ago. So you've heard enough from me. I would like to speak for the interests of a couple other people who have I may have been able to talk to in the last couple weeks. I agree with Chris, I agree with John that what is happening in Centertown is great, and allowing for this possibility is a great option. I just think that what we're doing is a little short-sighted and doesn't allow for a greater possibility to be considered now. We're just doing a small granular thing. And, you know, Chris just mentioned the possibility to rezone the neighborhood. I'm obviously all for that. I just wish it was something that we could jump into sooner rather than later. Again, you know how I feel, so I will read a quick note from another concerned businessman who you'll see clearly gave me his permission to share this today. Hey, Peter, thank you for sending this info and the letter you sent to the Centertown Association. I sent a letter to Centertown today. I think a lot of people have seen that, mostly in a positive vein. It's certainly available to be given to the record after the meeting if I'm allowed to do that. To get back to the letter. My evening tonight unfortunately already has commitments attached to it, so I will be unable to drive over to Grand Haven for the meeting. I, however, would be fine with you dropping my name, Kevin Healy, my business name, The Kitchen Company, the address at 115 North 7th Street with a simple message. I am in favor of seasonal rentals for the entire Centertown area, provided there is a standard that must be met by the participants. I am not, capital NOT, in favor of an exception for one person or developer that makes their project hinge financially upon this acceptance for them. To correct this issue, simply make it fair for all and not just for one. Get a fair agreement together for the entire area. Pass it, and that will allow Capstone to have one less issue for their development. This is not meant to appear adversarial toward Capstone, but actually a way that we can all be better neighbors in this town without dissent among the business owners or residents. Thank you, Kevin Healy, The Kitchen Company, and I appreciate your time to enter that into the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to address council at this time? If no one's coming forward, we're going to close the call to the audience. All right, thank you. At this point, we're going to have a presentation on the Purple Heart Community Proclamation, calling on Mr. Chris Petrus. If you would come forward and tell us what's going on here.
Well, thank you. I come humbly and respectfully before you tonight in addressing the resolution that's before you tonight. The Purple Heart Resolution is basically proclaiming the city of Grand Haven a Purple Heart community and recognizing August 7th as Purple Heart Day. Purple Heart Day started in 2014, and what's unique about the Purple Heart Medal is it specifically addresses and is awarded, and I don't think there's a single service individual in the military that desires to receive this medal, but they accept it. It is only awarded for those who are wounded in action, died of wounds received in action, or were killed in action. And I have spent the last 6 to 8 years researching local World War I soldiers in the Grand Haven area to determine whether or not they received their Purple Heart medals. And I was surprised at how many have not. And I've been very fortunate and blessed today to have obtained and initiated 20 Purple Heart medals for local World War I soldiers here in Grand Haven, Spring Lake, and in the Ferrysburg area. The Purple Heart Medal, its genesis came actually August 7th in 1782. General George Washington went before the Continental Congress and was asking for a badge of military merit that he could award to soldiers. What he didn't really tell them, though, he had 4 in particular picked out for it, and that was about it. So they granted the badge of military merit. It was on purple cloth. It says merit on it. Hence, that's the color of the purple and what it represents. And then it's not till several decades later that the idea is revisited to award Purple Heart medals in 1927, and then it got shelved the next year. So then it wasn't until 32 that it's finally initiated, it's put into action. And Purple Heart Day today is what Armistice Day was right after World War I ended. It hasn't been legislated into law yet, but it's recognized around the country. And so what the resolution does is it puts the city on the public record as recognizing particularly those individuals who served, were wounded in action, died of wounds received in action, or were killed in action for fighting. It's been quite a uniting thing to do with communities. Businesses get involved in it, citizens get involved. Some places have ceremonies that they do, others just simply recognize it, however you would want to do it. And in Michigan, there's you call them Purple Heart entities because they vary. For example, Western Michigan University is a Purple Heart University. You also have some public schools that are Purple Heart school districts. It doesn't parcel out particularly communities, but it's mostly communities that pass these resolutions to unite the community together around the soldiers, those servicemen and women who did fight and received a Purple Heart medal. So what the resolution, as I said, will do today, it's an official record recognizing August 7th is Purple Heart Day, and that this is welcoming and Purple Heart community for all those who have received the Purple Heart. Well, thank you.
All right, well, thank you, Chris. And I have that resolution, and I'd like to read it. So this is the City of Grand Haven Purple Heart City Proclamation. Whereas the citizens of the City of Grand Haven have great admiration and the utmost gratitude for the women and men of the U.S. Armed Forces who have honorably served and currently serve their country with exceptional and selfless bravery, courageousness, and resilience. And whereas veterans and active military service women and men from Grand Haven and around the country have placed themselves in harm's way to protect our freedoms in the country, resulting in wounds received in action, succumbing to wounds received in action, or killed in action. And whereas the Purple Heart Medal, whose genesis is the badge of military merit initiated by General George Washington on August 7, 1782, is the first American military award or decoration established for military service women and men who have been injured in action or killed while engaged in combat with an enemy force. And whereas the National Purple Heart Day is recognized on the 7th day of August as a day to remember and honor those who honorably served their country and who were injured or killed in action. And whereas many of Grand Haven's military veterans and veterans of nationwide have earned Purple Heart Medal for injuries received or in making the supreme sacrifice from engaging with an enemy force. Now, therefore, I, Robert Manetza, Mayor of the City of Grand Haven, do hereby proclaim the City of Grand Haven as a Purple Heart community, and officially designate the 7th day of August Purple Heart Day, and in recognition and appreciation of the highest levels of sacrifice made by Purple Heart recipients in defending our freedoms and country, in witness whereof, under my signature in the seal of the City of Grand Haven, this 4th day of August, the year of 2025. So we will have this on our consent agenda for approval by the entire City Council. But thank you for bringing this forward. And that will bring us to our consent agenda. Marie, would you like to read this?
Item A, approve the regular council meeting minutes of July 21st, 2025. Item B, approve the bills memo in the amount of $3,269,094.52. Item C, approve a proclamation recognizing August 7, 2025 as Purple Heart Day in the City of Grand Haven. And item D, approve an amendment to the election equipment agreement between the City of Grand Haven and Ottawa County that was originally approved in 2018.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Fritz, second by Lowe. Any questions on any of these items? If not, would you please call the roll?
Fritz?
Yes.
Lowe?
Yes.
McLaughlin?
Yes.
Manetza?
Yes. Thank you. All right, we have no unfinished business this evening, so it brings us to our public hearing. At this point, I'll open a public hearing regarding the resolution to vacate a portion of the right-of-way between 233 Washington Avenue, parcel number 70-03-20-432-017, an approved condition of the plan development pursuant to Chapter 32, Article 4 of the Code of Ordinances. So that we are, let's see. We're going to Ashley with this. Would you
Yes.
please introduce us before we take public comment?
Yes.
So at the site of 233 Washington, to be the future home of the Residence Inn Marriott development, as you might be aware, Dana, can you go to the next? That parcel is actually divided into two sections. So as a part of the condition for approving the plan development, we agreed to vacate said alley. On June 23rd, City Council initiated a resolution of intent to vacate the alley. July 15th, Planning Commission held a public hearing to also consider this alley vacation. And since then, now at our final step, a public hearing at City Council in consideration for approval. We have not received any comment to date.
Okay. Who would like to address council on this matter in this public hearing? Don't all rush forward at once. If anyone would like to address council, now would be the time, or else I'll be closing the public hearing. All right. We are closing the public hearing, and now I need Maria, would you read item C?
Consideration by City Council of a resolution to vacate a portion of the right-of-way between 233 Washington Ave, parcel number 70-03-20-432-017, an approved condition of the plan development pursuant to Chapter 32, Article 4 of the Code of Ordinances.
All right, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Lowe, second by McLaughlin. Comments or questions?
I'm good.
Real good?
Yeah, we discussed this.
Yeah, this has been discussed. We discussed it a little bit at our previous meeting, and Planning Commission has done their due diligence on it. So if there's no comments or questions, would you please call the roll?
Lowe,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
Manetza.
Yes. That brings us to our first item of new business. Would you please read that?
Item A, consideration by City Council of a resolution to approve a memorandum of understanding with Ottawa County for use and maintenance of parking lot 24. Administration recommends approval.
Okay, could I get a motion?
So moved?
Support.
Motion by Fritz, second by Lowe. Actually, who's covering this one?
I will. I can cover it just a second. So again, in relation to the development at 233 Washington, staff has been working with 6 PM Hospitality to work to address the parking gap for the development. As you may recall, the site at 233 Washington has approximately 89 anticipated spaces, leaving an additional 39 spaces required to meet their Planning Commission approval. And as a condition of their Planning Commission, before they could approach for site plan approval, it is required that they address that gap. So we've been working with the development team to facilitate discussions with various different partners throughout the city who may have the capacity or property to assist us with this parking demand, and again, to mitigate and alleviate the parking burden on the downtown. We were really excited to engage with Ottawa County regarding the lots they have on Franklin Avenue. The administration at Ottawa County was really fantastic, and we had excellent dialogue around what our parking demand is and what future developments we anticipate in the city. And they were, they were ultimately willing to step up to the table and assist us with their excess parking on Franklin. So as you can see, they own 2 lots on Franklin Avenue. They're actually parceled separately, which is really useful for this purpose. But parking lot identified as 1 on there is the one in question. That's identified as lot 24 in county terms. So in anticipation of our timeline and the development team's interest in getting their site plan consideration at the August Planning Commission meeting, the county was quick to help and present the memorandum of understanding to the county commissioners. That was received positively. So this is before you this evening to assist in our timeline. Ultimately, a more formal agreement will come forward, but to assist the team in coming back to us in August for site plan approval, we wanted to get this on the agenda to show there's a commitment. So again, really excited to have this collaboration with the county to help us meet our parking need in the city.
Okay.
And there
Comments?
is apologies. There's about 69 parking spaces in Lot 1. About 39 of those would be required for the Marriott development, and the rest we would continue to use as we do for our public parking overnight permits.
Okay. Questions, comments?
On the maintenance part of it, we're going to be responsible for the maintenance, correct?
Correct.
And will we be reimbursed by the hotel for those 39 spots?
We haven't discussed the exact agreement with 6 PM Hospitality and the development team, but we anticipated operating it just simply by permit parking, as we do with our other downtown lots. If we were to operate it in any other business-like activity, that could become a taxable parcel.
Okay, as long as we get reimbursed some way, that's good. Thank you.
Kevin?
No, I'm fine.
Oh, I thought you-
We don't get we don't get reimbursed for any other parking, so I definitely don't have a problem with this.
Okay.
Downtown pays 2% more than the rest of them.
Aaron, anything?
Nope.
Okay, yeah, and I think this is really a fabulous
is.
collaboration between county and the city to solve a problem that the city has with parking generally downtown, especially for overnight parking, because we anticipate not just a hotel, but increased residency downtown, and this will help us address that. And the county, this is an underutilized lot from their perspective, and so if we can absorb some of the maintenance of that and some of the just use of it and put it to good use, I think this is going to be something that we've needed to address in some manner. So I congratulations and thank you to your team for the working with the county, and thank you for the county for working with us on this. I think it's going to be a win-win all the way around. And, we'll see the agreement once it's finalized, but I think the MOU is very timely and appropriate. Anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
Please call the roll.
Fritz?
Yes.
Lowe?
Yes.
McLaughlin?
Yes,
Manetza?
Yes. Next item, please.
Item B, consideration by City Council of an introductory resolution to amend the zoning ordinance to permit short-term rentals by special land use in the Centertown overlay of the neighborhood mixed-use district. Planning Commission recommends approval, administration recommends approval.
Can I get a motion?
so move.
Support.
Motion by McLaughlin, second by Lowe. Dana, do you want to discuss this?
Yep, I'll provide a quick introduction to the agenda item. Good evening, council. Before you this evening is a resolution, an introductory resolution to amend our ordinance for allowing short-term rentals by special land use in the Centertown overlay. In March, we received an application for a request to change the neighborhood mixed-use district to allow for short-term rentals by right. Following the Planning Commission discussion at their following meeting, which was in April, there was quite a bit of discussion and some public input that was relatively positive towards that. There was no negative feedback at that time. But the Planning Commission determined that they would like to have further discussion before making any sort of final recommendation to move forward one way or the other. So they did put together a separate joint meeting with the Downtown Development Authority Board. They held that meeting and had quite a bit of discussion about the future goals for Centertown and the DDA as a whole, and walked away with an understanding that really there seemed to be support for short-term rentals as a special land use rather than by right. So after that discussion took place, they formed a subcommittee of members of the Planning Commission to discuss the particulars of what those requirements would be for a potential request for a special land use, and came back to the Planning Commission at their most recent Planning Commission meeting, which was in July. In that time, they came with, like I said, with a set of standards, which is represented in the ordinance language. We did take a minute in the memo to highlight a few of the particular requirements. It's important to note that the overlay, the amount of parcels that this would impact is 23 parcels, and those parcels, again, would not be allowed to have short-term rental by right, but instead would apply for a special land use and would still need to adhere to requirements of the special land use permit. So it wouldn't necessarily be true that all 23 parcels would be able to have a short-term rental. They would need to meet various requirements outlined in the ordinance. So since the July Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission supported that amendment, and it is now being forwarded to you for consideration and first reading. And since that time, we have had a few other communications from some property owners and residents, just obviously expressing their interest in it. And it is important to note, too, that we are looking at the broader Centertown through a Centertown vision plan that we'll be updating. So we're in the midst of that process as well, just for additional background.
Do you have any idea of the timeline on the larger Centertown update?
Yes. So it is currently out to bid for seeking proposals of planning firms that we are expecting those to be back at another couple weeks, so mid-August. Then we'll review those proposals with a smaller group, vet those for meeting the requirements, and then we plan to bring it before the DDA for a recommendation before bringing to council in sometime in September, and then we plan to kick the process off in November after we receive some funding from the state to help support that, and we're expecting that in October.
Okay, and that's a technical grant from
Yes.
MEDC?
Correct.
Okay. All right, questions and comments?
No, I think this is I fully support this. Frankly, I'm not a huge fan of short-term rentals in any of our neighborhoods, but when it comes to our commercial zones, I think we should do as much as we possibly can to support short-term rentals. We're dealing with a problem in a short-term rental right now, and I think it's in a neighborhood. But I think when it comes to our commercial areas, I think we should do everything we can and write the zoning ordinances so that, in fact, we can support that. Because that's what it should be all about, to be very honest with you. Not downtown, not just Centertown, but throughout the city.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. Everybody knows what I am with short-term rentals. I seen what it did to my neighborhood. You're right, Kevin. It's not a place to be in a neighborhood. I went from having families in my neighborhood to having only one child there to go to school in Grand Haven when they went to short-term rentals. But I agree, this is be doing by a special land use. I think this is the best thing for it, so everybody has a chance anytime it comes up down in their area. They'll have a chance to have their voice and say what they want with it instead of by right. I think this is a good move. I think our planning commission hit it right on the nose. You're right, in certain districts, short terms do work to a point, and you don't want to oversaturate too many of them because you don't want it to be closed in the wintertime. We want to entice people to come here in the wintertime to fill up and take care of our businesses. So, but in neighborhoods, I'm dead against short-term rentals. I have been for a long time. I've been a bit advocate. I went to MML and spoke at different meetings about it. So I'll be voting for this only because it's special land use and that. If it was by right, I probably wouldn't have done this. So I think our planning commission did a fantastic job.
Thank you, Mike. Karen?
I agree. I think the Planning Commission got it right in terms of making it by special use, so I concur with that. One question, when you say that you're going back to update the Centertown part of the master plan, I presume, and maybe Planning Commission Chair Dora can address this, will that plan then address some of the issues that we've heard from constituents about whether or not their portion of Centertown should also have that special use, right? Would that be the time that would be addressed?
Yes. So the process for the Centertown Vision plan is revisiting the existing vision plan and updating the goals, the recommendations, seeking stakeholder input, community input around what they envision Centertown to be. Some things will probably stay the same and some will likely change based on how the district has evolved, but that is the opportunity for additional changes and potentially outcomes, recommendations for zoning changes.
Very good. Okay.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
All right. I've been following this process pretty closely as well. And I appreciate the work the Planning Commission has done. I think this is mostly good. My biggest concern all along has been approaching it in the manner we are, approaching it as a amendment to an overlay followed by another study. My only concern is that we don't create future nonconformities. If we were to adopt rules and then after a study, we change the rules in such a way that we got something built that was no longer conforming to the new ideas, that would be a problem. So we have to approach this conservatively. I think that the special land use does that. I think the conditions they put in are unlikely to create any future nonconformities, no matter where we go with the bigger plan. But to jump straight to the bigger plan will take time. And I think that we have an opportunity here to modify the overlay with something that we may or may not roll into the bigger plan or in some other form. But because of the time that would consume, I think this is kind of a parallel path. I know I had a nice long conversation with Mr. Wilson about this. I think we agreed to disagree, but that's the way it is. But I think that this serves a purpose to do it in the overlay because the overlay is a well-defined area. It's an area that has a boundary. If you try to extend things into Centertown based on zoning, it's part of a large zoning district that actually extends to the east side of town. And so you'd have to decide where you're applying the new rules. And I think that's best done in a big comprehensive study, which gets public input and really vets the whole issue. And then you can do a comprehensive zoning update at that time. So this is kind of a two-step process we're doing here. We're going to facilitate some investment within a well-defined area in the Centertown area, not favoring any one person, but rather the parcels there. And then we're going to follow that up with a more comprehensive study to get back to what was envisioned in 2014 by the folks in Centertown. They asked for a lot of things, very little of it got addressed. This time around, I think we'll get a better picture and maybe put some actual implementation steps into it. But that's kind of the future where this is going to go. But I think that we can do something now which will work well for now and will carry into the future, which is why I'm supporting this. I do have one concern. I spoke a little bit with Chairman Dora about it. One of the conditions on here says first floor use for buildings fronting 7th and Washington Avenue in the Centertown Overlay District must be 100% retail commercial. And as written, that would preclude any parking being within the footprint of the building. We have something similar to this downtown. We have a note in the downtown CB district where buildings fronting Washington Avenue are not allowed to have professional service and offices facing the street because we're looking for that continuous shopping experience on the sidewalks. So that was put in there as for a different purpose and a different formula, but we have taken consideration before of what do we want on fronting our major streets. And I think that's what this was intended to address, that we would have a retail experience on the Washington and 7th Street where Centertown really lives, rather than having something that's just 100% parking or 100% non-retail. But my concern is that as written, this might have gone too far with that. I don't know if council would be interested in making an amendment to that or coming back 2 weeks from now for a second reading after having given us some thought and making an amendment to that. But I think we could either apply a different proportion or we could apply a usability of the first floor as a criteria, which might exclude certain areas used for example, parking. But this could have an impact throughout the overlay district as far as how buildings might be able to use this. Plus, this is only tied to the short-term rental use, which is, use as the building change, then you've tied the way building is configured to a particular use, which, again, I think that there may be some room for improvement on that. Other than that, I like what's here, and I'll support what's here, but I would like to see some thought given to how that first provision, 100% use of retail commercial on first floors is going to be applied. So I don't know if anybody in council is interested in trying to deal with that now, or if we'd rather come back in 2 weeks and
I'm
see
open
if
to
it's a
doing,
concern.
I'm open to doing either, if that would
As long
make
as we
this
can
a little bit
approve it
easier.
next.
Because we can make an adjustment in between, or we could do it, we could try to do something now.
Are there a few words that you'd like to,
Well, there's a couple of
Used to amend.
possibilities. One is, you could say, first floor used for buildings fronting 7th and Washington, you could say usable area of first floor, and that usability is defined separately in the ordinance as buildings used for something other than accessory uses. It's
so
that-
add the word
You could add the word usable area of first floor,
usable area?
and that'd be relatively simple. Another would be to look at the proportions given in the CB district downtown, which is approximately 40%, but there again, that was defined for a different purpose.
Yeah.
And so
I
that,
like your first
I'd
suggestion.
make a motion to
and like I say, we can,
modify that with the usable area option. What paragraph is that?
it's paragraph 3A of the amendment. It's on page 64 in your packet. So, I mean, that's one option. There's other ways you could do it, but I think that would.
I'll make the
preserve-
motion to amend it that way. I don't know if we have a second.
Second.
Okay.
How's that?
And that would give more options for property owners while still addressing the concerns of the planning commission about the usability of the first floors. And if,
So that's section 7.3A, and we're inserting after the
Yes.
100% usable area,
it would be,
or, is that correct?
I think you'd use the usable area of first floor at the beginning of the sentence.
First floor, okay. Usable area of first floor,
Used for buildings fronting 7th and so on.
okay. So I'll make that motion. We
Second.
got a second.
Any other questions about that?
No, that's a
Mike, what do you think?
it's a very good catch.
It doesn't matter. It's okay. It'd be all right with me,
All right, well,
if you want to.
so we have a motion to amend that particular line by adding the usable area to the beginning of that sentence. Maria, are you clear with that?
I was going to read usable, sorry, can you clarify? again?
Usable area of first floor used for buildings fronting on 7th.
Yes.
Okay. And I have a motion by Councilmember Lowe and a second by Councilmember McLaughlin.
Correct?
Okay, could you call the roll on this amendment?
Lowe,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes,
Manetza.
Yes. That's the only change I was going to ask if council was interested in doing, so if everyone else is satisfied with everything else here, then I'd call for a vote on the amended motion.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Fritz,
yes.
Manetza.
Yes. All right, that's our first reading. We'll see this again in 2 weeks. Okay, next item, please.
Item C, consideration by City Council of a resolution to approve a new event request from the Grand Haven Elks Lodge to host a Pulaski Day celebration on September 27th, 2025, utilizing the southern half block of 3rd Street in front of their building at 15 South 3rd Street, Grand Haven, Michigan 49417. Administration recommends approval.
Can I get a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Motion by Fritz, second by McLaughlin. Let's see. Brian, you're up.
Good evening, Council. Brian Droz, Waterfront and Events Manager for the city. The Grand Haven Elks 1200 Lodge has submitted a new event request to host a Pulaski Days celebration on Saturday, September 27th, 2025, at the Lodge on 3rd Street in downtown Grand Haven. The celebration will be open to the public. The event runs from 2 to 10 p.m. with setup beginning at 7 a.m. and teardown completed by the following morning at 10 a.m. The southern half block of 3rd Street in front of the lodge will be closed to accommodate a tent featuring live polka music, dancing, and outdoor seating. Attendees will enjoy a variety of traditional Polish food prepared in the Elks Kitchen, along with entertainment on 3rd Street. Alcohol service will be included in the form of cans out of coolers, and the lodge has applied for the appropriate licensing. Patricia Epler with the Elks is here to assist me with any questions you may have.
Okay. Questions, comments?
I'm good with it.
I'm really good. It's another new event for us, at least to try, and seems pretty good. Seeing, I have some Polish descendants in my wife's family, so I'm definitely looking forward to Glumke and some, everything else that goes along with it. Especially the pierogies.
Just mention the food.
Oh, yeah.
Karen?
No, I'm good.
Okay. And I'm good too. I think this will be great. I think that it'd be a good event. Hopefully it'll be a growing event. And I'm partly Polish also, so
Same here.
I'll be enjoying this as well. All right, can we call the vote?
Fritz?
Yes.
McLaughlin?
Yes.
Lowe?
Yes.
Manetza?
Yes. And that is the end of our new business for the evening. It brings us to our report by city council. Who would like to speak?
Oh, I'll start. I want to say thank you to everybody for a fantastic Coast Guard Festival, our Public Safety, Public Works, the Coast Guard Festival Committee, everybody. There's not even staff, and I want to say thank you for everybody that did our float for us. I was kind of skeptical at first, but I tell you what, it worked out really good. Kevin and I think it rained on us. I don't know about the rest of you guys, had a beautiful day, but I think it was pretty wet and where we were. But I want to say thank you to everybody. It was a fantastic event. I don't think there was any major things that happened. I think it's just the normal things that we normally get around here. I want to say thank you to all our citizens and everybody else that put up with it. I don't know what else I can tell you. It was just really good, so thank you to everyone.
Just reiterate what Mike's already said. This was a great week. You know, this is my last, that was my last parade. Frankly, I'm going to miss that. That's a lot of fun. And it's a lot of people that I look forward to just get them with the water, trust me. That won't happen anymore. Even Mike. Mike was just sitting there going, nobody got me last year. Well, we got him this year. So,
Well, you can probably come back just to get wet.
but it was, it's just a great week, and I thank Ashley and Nicole and Mike. Mike was great driving he had a ball. Mike said, he said, I'm going to do that every year. So it was great that Mike got involved, but I want to thank everybody. It was a great week.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the Coast Guard Festival Board and Tracy Riley, of course, and her entire team for just another really memorable Coast Guard Festival, certainly. And naturally, like to, Ashley, Dana, and our entire staff, particularly our Department of Public Safety and our Department of Public Works. Keeping us all safe, keeping all of the people that come into this town safe is really quite our team of public safety worked overtime. And then I'm always amazed, and you guys have to be too, how it can be so messy with the carnival, and we wake up the next day and we have clean streets. I mean, it just looks meticulous, and I'm always so proud of that. It just looks so well. So many thanks to all of our staff who worked so hard to make that all happen.
Yeah, I'd like to repeat as well, our staff makes it look easy, makes it look like there's nothing to it, and yet there's so much work behind the scenes. That, the setup, the planning, and all that stuff is done over the course of a year during the event, during the week. Our public safety, our public works, they're working every hour of overtime that we can get. We're spread thin, we're getting help from outside, and yet to a spectator, to a citizen, to anybody who's participating, it's like it just happens. And when at the end of the day, when it's all cleaned up and behind you, it's like, well, it just happened. And it was great. But just so much work goes into that. And I've seen behind the curtain. I know what it takes. I enjoyed every piece of the festival that I participated in. I enjoyed the dunk tank. Water wasn't quite cold enough, but it was okay. I enjoyed particularly enjoyed being permitted to speak at the National Memorial Service. That's a very great honor. And parade was good. I didn't get quite as wet as these guys. I got hosed once, but I kind of walked.
We had to hold down the fort for you.
Well, you know,
because you're up
I
front.
figured
we took care of it
Waving
for
in the
you.
crowd,
You
know?
made better targets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did
So,
good for you,
Next
Bob.
year,
Yeah.
you gotta get in that float.
Well, you
With
know,
the rest of us.
There's reasons why I make the choices I do. So, anyway, it was all great. Appreciate it all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to
Felt good
staff,
though, didn't
to everybody who was part of the planning, the Coast Guard Festival Committee, our personnel, all the people who helped from outside the city who came in and helped us make it happen. It's a great event. It comes once a year. It's really intense, and now we can decompress a little bit, but we got more coming. Summer's not over yet. So I'm going to turn it over now to the city manager.
I just got
yeah,
one
go
thing
ahead.
to add. I always do this,
Yeah,
but I have to echo what Karen says about Public Works. I live right downtown, and I tell you what, you can't ask for a better crew when it cleans up a mess. And it come up when you get up at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning and walk down there, and it's like nothing ever happened. And it's so quiet, and it's so beautiful down there. They do a fantastic job. I have to just echo that. I agree with you 100%, Karen. I tell you, we have, our whole crew we have for the city here is fantastic. They all work very well together, not just Public Works, but Public Safety, Administration, and everybody else around here. We are very fortunate to have what we have.
Very true. Thank you, Mike. Ashley?
I will just echo that sentiment because it is worth repeating. I just have endless respect and admiration for our team, both at Public Safety and Public Works. But I will tell you, I have newfound appreciation for our seasonal crews. I worked with our waterfront and marina staff with Mr. Brian Jarosz over there on Friday of Coast Guard Festival. And again, that's not even touching Saturday of Coast Guard Festival, but the things that those young people see and endure just with trash alone, it really is incredible what the outcome is at the end of the day. Even on Coast Guard Friday, we were there until about 1 a.m. So I know those crews, again, outside of just our basic Public Works and Public Safety staff, were there till about 3 or 4 in the morning, and it's just remarkable work on their part, and they do put up with a lot, and it is very trying and exhausting. So just all the credit to them. And I believe outside of, we have a visit from the Tall Ships planned this week. They'll be here on Thursday the 7th, staying through the 10th. We have 2 Tall Ships that'll be mooring along our seawall just before the waterfront stadium. So encourage you to check that out. They have a Facebook event, and we've been sharing it pretty heavily. And I believe that's all I have.
Okay, thanks. And also, Walk the Beat is coming up next weekend.
Yes.
So
Yes.
east side, walk up and down, hear music.
What's the beat?
Yep. All right, well, then that brings us to our second call to the audience. This time, members of the audience may address council on any item, whether on the agenda or not. Those addressing council are asked to provide their name and address and will be limited to 3 minutes of speaking time. Council will hear all comments for future consideration, but will not have a response at this time. Those not physically present who would like to call in may dial 616-935-3203. Who would like to address council?
Good evening, Jim Hagan, 400 Lake. I'd like to just make a quick comment, actually a request, for an update on what's going on with the diesel plant. The front of the building, the steps keep getting worse and worse and worse and are crumbling. And they're really a safety hazard. And I know we've talked, or there's been talk of certain schedules, and I'd like to actually have an updated schedule on what is going on. Thanks.
Thank you. Who else would like to address council? Yeah, if no one, then we'll close the call to the audience, and that brings us to adjournment of the meeting. Thank you all for coming.